What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? We are back, baby, for another edition of our Tuffy Talk live show, y'all. Really appreciate y'all tuning in here once again. So excited to be talking, man, all things NC State. We have a ton to cover tonight, even though we only really have a couple of sports really going on right now. There's still a lot to talk about between, obviously the Pac-9 series win against number 11 Louisville this past weekend. Got the NC State spring game coming up this weekend too, which we'll talk about that. Then obviously a lot of transfer stuff between women's basketball, men's basketball. So again, a lot to get to. So if you want to provide any comments or ask any questions, go ahead and get them in the chat. Or if you don't have any necessarily right now, just let us know that you're here. Just say, hey, let us know who's here. Want to know who's tuning in here with us. But again, feel free to send any comments, questions as we go. We will get to most, if not more likely all of them for sure. So again, appreciate y'all. And I already see Nick in the comments that even though Pac-9 didn't sweep Louisville, I still say it was a pretty good week. Absolutely, 100% agree with that. And game, also too excited about some football. And then Colby says, what's up? Tuffy Talk, glad to have met some of you. Yeah, no, glad to meet you, Colby. Appreciate you tuning back in, brother. Sure. But one thing which I am confused by is why, Greg, are you here? I thought we let you go.
Huh. Yeah, we kicked them off.
Yeah. I'm back.
I'm back, baby. Yeah.
I fought my way back into the hearts of millions, or at least 10,000 of them out there on Twitter. So
yeah, absolutely. I let us know in the comments if you fell for it. But I know Justin Cook within like 30 seconds said, nah, that's not true. That's false.
I just wanted to figure out how I got fired on my day off. So that's all. If anyone knows the reference out there, you already know. So.
Well, just to kind of share the background, because I haven't even told Michael yet, and I know most of our followers haven't even heard this, but basically, I ran a 5K with my wife and to raise money for a retirement community that my wife's grandfather's at, and then we went to brunch right afterwards. Well, after we finished brunch, I looked at my phone and I realized, oh my gosh, it's April Fool's, and like there was nothing, because this was like probably noon at this point. I was like, man, I'm surprised I hadn't figured it out by like seeing something crazy on Twitter that like it was April Fool's Day. So I was like sitting there in the car. I was like, what can we do? I was like, perfect. I know exactly what I'm gonna do. Yeah, and I'm not gonna tell any of the Tuffy Talk guys about it. So none of these guys knew. They were all completely shocked. Even making it in our private Discord was like, Greg, what happened? Like, it was hilarious. So
there was half a second when I saw the first original tweet, and I was like, what is he talking about? And I was like, oh yeah, it's April Fool's.
No, he got me, and my wife got her, and I was just like, man, all right, pick on the fat guy. He doesn't have any feelings. So all right, that's cool.
And then Rusty, I haven't seen ECU's April Fool's joke, but I'm gonna go look it up right now because I have not seen or heard that one. So definitely have to check that out.
Yeah, there's a couple ones out there. I saw like Trakravion was coming back for his junior year. I saw that one out there on April Fool's.
Ooh, ouch.
Yeah.
So, and then of course probably the one that got the most traction was Caleb Love going to
yeah.
I was like, dude, like I think Caleb Love values life. And so,
yeah, right. I mean, if you thought the Carolina people were rough,
yeah, for sure. Well, especially because Caleb Love puts up way too many shots too for Duke. I don't know, but yeah. Go ahead, Michael. Go ahead.
There was. Did you see UConn won? I think I saw that because they're an upcoming football opponent of ours. They put out a new helmet decal, and it was just the worst drawn husky you've ever seen.
Yep. And then there was Ohio baseball came out with we're showing off our new uniforms today, and it was like pinstripes, but not like sideways. It was like up the leg and up the jersey, and it was green white. It was terrible. So yeah, no, pretty good stuff. I would probably say not really okay. There's one though, and this is not really politics, but one that definitely was probably the biggest one for me was actually not even sports related. It was on TikTok, and somebody said that Splash Mountain was coming back, and I was like, and I was like, oh, that made me lose. That made me question humanity a little bit. Be like, why would you even joke about that? So, but Mike, message us, man. We'll hook you up. All right, Mike. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And Just says, go Pac-9. Yeah, no, again, Justin, we'll definitely talk baseball right here, right now. So Greg, give your thoughts because you were at all three games, correct?
Yes, sir. All three. Yeah, it was. I thought it was a really great series. Friday was a little wild, to say the least. We were we were in the lead and going into the 8th, and Louisville scores 4, and we claw one back and get one in the bottom with a home run, and then we pulled off 3 in the 9th, and we got that walk off, and Gino did his thing, got that 2 out. I'm sorry, 2 outs, because I think we had all that was with a 2-out rally, if my memory serves me correctly, and they just and we fought off a couple. I think we probably fought off 6 or 7 2-strike pitches to get that with multiple batters. So that was the first win that we got out of an ACC series, and so that just got the tone set for the weekend. Then Willitson just pitched to Jim on Saturday, and the bats came alive a little bit later in the game to break that one open, and we won that one 10-0. And then yesterday was tough. Dom Fritton had his worst outing of the year and only gave up like 2 earned runs. So that just goes to tell you how dominant he's been. He gave up 2 pitches in back-to-back batters where they just crushed the ball. And at the end, we both had 5 hits in the game, but score was 6-1. I'm trying to remember.
6-1,
yeah, it was a long night last night. I didn't get home till 11:30. So I just thought it was a really good, well played series. Not a lot of, I don't think we had any errors in the weekend. If we did, we only had 1, and we hit the ball. And Candelaria is back, and so there's no coincidence. I think that the offense is getting going with him, and you still have Chase Nixon doing his thing. I was looking at some stats today. He's got 12 hits on the season. 6 of them are extra base hits.
Chase Nixon.
Yeah. What did I say?
Yeah.
Well, no. Just wanted to confirm
sorry.
which player you're talking about.
No, my apologies. Yeah, Chase Nixon. So he's kind of supplanted Carter Trice out in left field, and he's doing his thing. So he's had really good games here lately. But there's my thoughts.
Yeah, but I will caveat saying Sunday, not as much offense. Definitely was a frustrating day on the offensive side and on relief pitching. But again, starters, that's the biggest positive, which I think you got to feel, if you had to kind of choose, okay, which area would I really want to get solid as quickly as possible? Starting pitching would be probably pretty high on that list. And I think definitely now between Logan Whitaker, Matt Willitson, and Dom Fritton, that, you feel really, really good for the rest of the season. And knowing that you still got Baker Nelson, you still got Sam Highfill, who, for them, it's just, they're not pitching their best right now, but they're going to figure it out. It's only a matter of time. There's still a good amount of baseball left. Sam is still, I'm sure, working his way back through, the injury rust a little bit. So, just a little bit of patience there on that.
Yeah.
Michael, anything to add before we jump into some this week?
It was a great weekend. Yeah, that walk-off by Gino was awesome. That was the first time I saw the lights. Yeah, the lights.
Dude.
So good.
That was awesome.
So good.
That was awesome. But with Sam, do we see him getting back into the starting role? Like,
not at this point.
The only way I see him getting into a starting role is in the midweek. We've had a little bit of troubles, in the midweek. We've been winning those games, but
ECU tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I doubt it though, because he threw on Sunday.
No, but he only threw for 1 out. He only threw for 1 out.
Was it just 1 out?
I think they announced.
Maybe it was just 1 out.
But yeah, I don't know. It just seems like, it's nice to have that caliber of a pitcher in your bullpen, but he just doesn't 100% seem like a bullpen guy.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Here's the other thing we have to think of too. Louisville's a really good team. They're number 11 in the country. Yeah. And it's not like we've been he's been pitching against top ACC caliber teams, right? Because all of our weekend series against ACC teams have been against ranked teams. So it's not like he's going out there and, getting shelled by, I don't want to disrespect anyone, but, he's not getting shelled by a community college. Let's say that.
Sure. Yeah. Keep it up.
But
gotcha.
For as bad as, it's better now, but for as bad as our record was going into the series, ACC record, we're a good baseball team. You've avoided any sweeps. You finally got 1 win against a good team. Louisville's a tournament team.
Oh, no doubt.
That's one of the reasons that we got snubbed last year. We didn't have a series win against a tournament team, so that's checked off, barring a total collapse by Louisville, but that probably won't happen. So yeah, that was the weekend that State needed right there.
Which and remind me who were so we lost to Virginia in a series, lost to Boston College, and who's the third one?
UVA. Miami, UVA, and Boston College.
Yep. So just pointing out, believe it or not, that Boston College is right now ranked in the top 10. Virginia is ranked squarely in top 10.
Yeah, they just lost 2 of 3 to Virginia Tech, but before that they were doing really well.
And Miami's come off really strong even too still. So again, it just goes back to that I don't want it to seem like that if we're winning that I'm going to be on this side of the fence, but if we're losing, I'm going to be on this side of the fence. But to me right now, I'm just sitting here once again going, the conference is so tough that I think that, and I think it was Wolfpack Stats basically was putting out there saying that there's certain things that hurt us last year that we haven't had so far, whether it's, getting swept by UNC, having, not great out of conference wins, which I think that the Coastal Carolina game alone is going to be pretty big.
TCU.
Two against ECU. So
and we got
W coming up.
Who did we get swept by last year in the non-conference? Somebody, but I mean we didn't even
That's right.
We lost one.
Northeastern.
Yeah.
That's right. So didn't have that. So, again, there was a comment getting thrown around that we'd have to do something big in order to make the tournament. It's like, no, that's 1,000% false. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. So, we had a 7-game stretch that's pretty rough with the last 3 from Louisville. We got ECU and then we got Wake this weekend, which is top 3 in the country. But after that, it opens up wide open for us to make a run. We have Florida State, which is barely a 500 team. We have Notre Dame, which is barely a 500 team, and then we have Clemson, who's under 500 for the season. I'm sorry, Florida State is under 500 as well. So those are the next 3 series after this weekend. So if we can go get ECU this week, if we can somehow get 2 out of 3 at Wake, or at least get one, get one, and then you go win 3 series in a row potentially against Notre Dame, Florida State, and Clemson, you're right back in the mix.
And if you win the series against Wake, I mean, we're back in the conversation for hosting.
Easily. Yeah. I think right now we're in the conversation, but I think that if you beat Wake, you are like, State's definitely solid of hosting a regional for sure. Yeah. But yeah, it just too. I can't speak enough that really the regular season is more of a build up for the postseason, unless you're trying to go win the ACC regular season title, which for sure that should be a goal. But also, bigger picture here is that, we want to win, the ACC tournament championship. We want to, make it to a super regional, even try and get back to the World Series. And so at the end of the day, it's a build up to that. And if along the way, you can start to see the progress, start to see us figure some things out. Like hopefully this weekend was really kind of us getting our swagger back, like our confidence back, but also feeling great about our starting lineup for the rest of the series, for the rest of the season. Again, and then here we are facing ECU tomorrow and then facing Wake Forest at Wake this weekend. So again, a great challenge, but hey, I still sit here very, very confident going, we don't even have Noah Souls back either, which I think getting him back
weeks.
A couple weeks. But I think that, Kalai Harrison's done a great job, but definitely getting Noah Souls back is,
well, they play different.
Just experience alone, getting him back at the one spot is going to be big. So again, there's just so many options hitting wise. Chase Nixon, he had a rough game yesterday, striking out both times, pinch hitting, but he's still a guy too that, if you told me that he's a guy as an alternate hitter who, was a former freshman All-American, that's pretty good. So you got options, to say the least. So, all right, y'all. So with that being said, go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, one more thing. We're talking about that Coastal Carolina win. They've got 2 ACC wins, one against Wake Forest and one against Carolina. So that's a really good win under our belt. Then we went down there to play them. So if we can get some wins against Wake and get some wins against Carolina, that just helps that thing. And then I think you put do you have the tweet about the RPI in here? I don't want to steal the thunder. First. Yep, go for it. Yep, I don't want to steal that thunder.
And then the one thing too, which I want to mention before jump on there some tweets of the week, is I just favorited the comment, but the very first comment is the link for our Discord channel, which we are opening up to Wolfpack Nation now to join us. Is 100% free. So if you want to join in on the conversation with us, with the other members of Wolfpack Nation as well, to discuss and react to all things NC State or whatever, share things, whatever it might be, hit that link in the comment field and join us, and we'll see y'all there. But with that being said, we'll jump on over to some Tuffy's tweets of the week, baby. All right, so here we go. Yes, first tweet of the week with the RPI. And again, as crazy as it may seem, even though we've lost 3 AC series, we've only won 1.
Yeah.
We're still sitting here number 8 in the country in the RPI. And I want to point out once again that 2 of the teams that we've lost to are in this top 8, with Wake Forest at number 6 and then Boston College at number 7. And Virginia as well. At number 2, sorry, we face Virginia and Boston College. We have Wake Forest coming up, who's number 6. So it just goes to prove the point again. It's like the ACC is ridiculous. This year.
It's 4 SEC teams and 4 ACC teams.
Yeah, I was just say that's there's definitely a neck and neck there for conference supremacy.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously. Me with my teeny tiny bit of South Carolina fanhood. It's cool to see South Carolina get back where they should be. Again, with having Ray Tanner, former NC State coach, 2-time national champion of South Carolina, and with the facilities they have, South Carolina should be in this conversation. So it was good to see him back up there. But anyway, so yeah, again, it just goes to show again that even though we're sitting there 5-7 in the ACC, this whole season is still wide open. Everything that we want to accomplish this season is still on the table for this team. Nothing is out of reach by any stretch of the measure. So,
and something I find interesting on this is we were talking about at the beginning of the season, the non-conference schedule. We weren't sure how that was going to play out. We didn't have any like Power 5 teams like SEC or a Big Ten team or somebody.
You're seeing that same thing too, aren't you?
And we've got the 3rd highest non-conference strength of schedule there out of 8. So it's turned out pretty well.
That's true. That's a good point.
And I think a lot of that too is because you got Coastal and you got 2 against ECU and UNC Wilmington's not a bad squad either. That's good competition. So
Campbell,
Campbell. We have Campbell. We do have Campbell. We have Davidson as well, and then
And notice too as well that
no Campbell.
Okay. And notice too that all 8 of our losses are quad 1 losses. We haven't lost to anybody quad 2 or lower. So just goes to prove again that, technically per the stats, we haven't had one bad loss this season, which at the end of the day, if you can avoid that, I think that from a committee perspective, you're in pretty good stance for sure.
I think men's basketball proved that, right?
Exactly, which we'll definitely get to that. I do want to show one more tweet too about baseball before we move on. This one here from Wolfpack Stats saying Matt Willitson had a 5.54 ERA last year after going to Louisville and walking 7 in 4 innings on April 23rd last year. Since then, he's been dominant. 11 of 12 starts have been quality starts, 1.72 ERA and 83 strikeouts in 78.1 innings, which is crazy. He's basically averaging over 1 strikeout per inning. That's pretty darn good. So again, this guy has he was a solid starter for us for the most part last year, but I think now he's shined.
I think part of this too, and there's not a stat or anything that will back what I'm about to say, but I think him not having to pitch on Fridays is a lot less stressful, and he can go back to a Saturday start, and so you go out there and you don't feel like you have to go out there and get that first Friday night win, and then you just kind of go out there and throw a little bit more freer.
Yep. And you just get, Logan Whitaker, who's a guy I think who's been looking for an opportunity and has taken full advantage of it. And so, again, it's great to see. And then with, a true freshman in Dom Fritton, who has looked amazing for sure. Yep. Again, not saying that he's like the best thing since sliced bread, but I'm saying for a freshman, what this guy has done is nothing short of impressive. So, Anyway, y'all, but then also to do want to give a shout out here to Mike as well. Appreciate the support, man. Thank you so much. And Russell also says here it's a midweek game, but against the top team, throws solid arm for a resume building win, especially at ECU2. That's definitely takes up another notch as well for sure. So because I don't know how much the committee takes into account like the toughness of the road matchup in terms of just the just playing. I mean, it's gonna be crazy.
The environment, yeah.
The environment's gonna be crazy.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a tough one. So
real quick while we're talking about that is a 5:30 start tomorrow night. Really weird time, and then it is gonna be nationally. Yeah, it's gonna be nationally televised on ESPNU. So for anyone out there, that's where you'll be able to find it.
Yeah. All right. So now, wrapping up baseball there. So basically, Justin and I do want to confirm that last week we said, is it time to panic? And we said last week, we didn't think so. And especially after this weekend, no, we're not panicking for the rest of the season. We're good, folks. We're
panic buttons back in the closet.
Panic buttons back in the closet.
At least for another week, right?
No, for the rest of the season,
I think we're
baseball. Good. I think we're good for the rest of the season.
Like I said, after you get through these next 4 games, it's going to open up a lot. So, to say that we've played our toughest part of the schedule in the early part of the season is an understatement. Now, when we have these easier games, you got to go take advantage of it. I mean, that being said, you can't sleep on Florida State and Clemson and Notre Dame. They're struggling programs, so there's no excuse not to go get 2 out of 3 and maybe get a couple of sweeps in there.
Here's a question.
Go ahead, Michael.
This week, I mean, answer should be easy, but if you can only win 2 games this week, which 2 do you want to win?
Oh, I see. That's actually okay.
Wake Forest.
Yeah, Wake Forest.
Yeah. I mean, you want the series win, obviously. But
that's a good question, though. I like that. Let's know in the comments, just for those who are tuning in right now. So between the 1 game against ECU and 3 games against Wake Forest, so 4 games total, which 2 games would you want to win? So would you want to?
Well, how about 1? If we're only going to win 1, because then it's a series. It's a series loss either way to Wake
Forest still.
You still?
Yeah, because they're number 2 in the country. I think last time I saw last week, I haven't seen this week's. I was busy at work, but last week 12, ECU was at 8. What's that?
I think ECU dropped down to 12.
Oh, did they? Okay, so then I definitely want Wake. Then that's a top 10 win. I didn't see what ECU
I hate losing
did.
to ECU though.
Well,
but here's the thing. Yeah, exactly right.
True.
And that's a road. You're a little bit. It's a little bit more excusable.
Okay. Yeah, I got Connor already in the comments saying 1 at Wake for sure. So yeah, I think we're all in the agreement.
And if nothing else, I'll take you even one step further. You want that Friday night because that's against their top pitcher, and he's a high he might be a top 10 MLB draft pick. So that dude's a stud.
Yeah,
and winning that first game always just gives you so much more momentum for the Saturday and Sunday.
Oh, easily.
For sure.
Yeah, it definitely whichever team loses definitely kind of gets put on their heels just a little bit. But 100%. All right, so now jumping on over to probably one of the biggest pieces of news from today, and that was the announcement of E.B. Duwanu committing to Georgia Tech. And I'll say it was funny. I was listening to 99.9, and I can't remember it's the guy that always did the the Devin Leary, who'd be great at making donuts, Devin Leary, that guy, and they were kind of talking about, okay, where would be some great places for UNC and NC State transfers to go. And the one guy was saying that EB, it would make sense for him to go to somewhere like UNCG or North Carolina Central, especially because I can't remember North Carolina Central. They're going after a basketball, former NBA basketball player, the guy who played for the Portland Trail Blazers. But anyway, he was a former big man, and they were looking at him to being the new head coach at Central. And so it was like, well, it would make 100% sense for EB to go there because he's a big man. He matches up prototypically with him, so it'd be a perfect place for him to go. And also, too, they would focus on EB. Like, he would be the main guy. There wouldn't be a lot of competition for minutes. But again, going to Georgia Tech, I'm sitting here wondering, okay, is it a new coach, DeMond Stoudemire, who's trying to say all these things and saying like, oh yeah, you come here, like you're gonna be a focal point. We're gonna give you a ton of minutes, like, but I just don't see that happening. I just not to hate on EB, he's a great player, but just I think he's much more of a role player from what I've seen in the 2 or 3 years that we've seen him, more than being a star, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He is from Georgia, so it's probably closer to home.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
that was another point that got brought, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
maybe he's just, like you said, I can't. Well, I don't know. Maybe he did promise him.
Maybe he's trying to prove a point, or I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. But maybe he just wants to keep playing Power 5 basketball, which if Georgia Tech's going to give him a shot, why not? It's closer to home. We'll see how he falls in their rotation, but yeah, good for him. That's definitely better than a better spot.
Yeah. I
thought he would land.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised it was a Power 5, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, if you're going to, have Power 5 offers, obviously you're probably going to jump at that.
Yeah.
I thought he was a good defensive piece, a good role player. I just didn't see the offensive upside. I really don't remember a game where he just took over. Like, I can tell you, like, Ernest Ross took over that Miami game, but nothing jumps out for me for Duano. Like, does anything jump out for either one of you offensively? Am I missing something?
No.
He had a career high 11 points in that first half against Virginia Tech in the tournament.
Yeah. Again, he's a solid player, but there's just nothing. He stands out a lot more on the defensive end than he does the offensive end.
And he was great defensively. I mean, I think he averaged almost 2 blocks a game, and he was up for like 4 or 5 rebounds. Now, granted, he did have limited minutes, but
the coach, Georgia Tech new coach, must have promised him at least a chance at the starting position, because to go from he'd be in a backup role again at NC State. Usually, when you see players transfer like that, it's down a level either to a G5 school or smaller than that to go be a starter. Like Jalen Gibson, we saw last year, he was a D2 All-American at Winston-Salem State.
Yeah, Duano barely averaged 2 points a game, 11 minutes a game. So I don't know. Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah, no, best. Definitely don't have an issue with it in terms of like, man, that pisses me off or anything like that.
No.
Yeah, so
now it's gonna be rough when he scores 30 against us next year. Yeah, because that always happens, right?
Oh, good.
Yeah. Oh, Rasheed Wallace. That's what it is. I think I'm mistaken.
Wait, so he's coaching where?
So they're potentially trying to go after him to being the head coach in North Carolina Central.
Oh, well, what's wrong with
Moten? At A&T. Yeah,
A&T.
That's what it was. Okay, I was like, Moten's been like in Central.
Yeah,
my fault. Oh yeah, duh, Lavelle Moten, duh.
Yeah,
the GOAT.
Yeah, okay,
sure. Don't disrespect Moten. Yeah,
no, he's a great coach.
No, for sure. Love the guy. And the Dennis Cox is the guy from 99.9 that I was talking about. The Devin Leary.
Oh yes, he does the funny videos.
Yes. And then Benjamin here in the comments saying, you totally got me with the April Fool's joke. And he says we need to go after Anthony Del Orso from Campbell University. He's in the portal and was the Big South Freshman of the Year. We all know what happened with DJ. We got DJ from the Big South. And this is kind of my next tweet of the week, but basically we're going, apparently we have a visit this Thursday and Friday with Jaden Epps, Illinois transfer. But who was also visiting Georgetown Saturday and Sunday, which is also where Dontrez Styles is also visiting too. So I saw a tweet today, which was hilarious, being like, is Georgetown just like seeing who we're going after and then just saying we're going to go after them too? So yeah, it's kind of weird. But there's a lot of interesting names between the guy from Temple,
Dunn.
Damian Dunn, and then Jaden Epps, and then Dontrez Styles from UNC. A lot of names getting floated around for sure. But it's kind of the opposite on the women's side. The women's side, I haven't heard anything about anybody.
Pretty hush. Yeah, pretty hush.
Pretty hush.
No. There's also less coverage on the women's side, so you don't get all the into the details like the men's. But yeah, I haven't heard anything either.
Just talking about Jaden Epps here. He's a guy that is from Virginia originally, but played high school in Charlotte, and he was a target for state before he committed to Illinois. So it is interesting that all the names that you keep hearing in the portal that we're going after supposedly are the same kids that we recruited right out of high school. So we're coming back full circle after the same folks. That we
it makes the most sense.
Yeah.
If
you got relationships there, it definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm do you have I don't know if we even released this tweet of the week. Do we have one for Greg Gant leaving?
No, don't have that.
Yeah, so I don't know if we want to talk about that for a minute, but
yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of the same. I don't know. I don't really know how to wrap my head around. Same thing with Jack Clark. I feel like that Jack Clark and Gant's decision to enter the portal kind of hit the same nerve for me, which is like I get it because of maybe the injury history, but I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure what to think about it.
I think for Jack Clark, he probably wants to go somewhere and be more of a focal point of the offense. I think for Greg Gant, like I wouldn't be surprised if he's done with basketball too and just entering the portal just to see if what's out there, you know. Yeah. But if not, you know, he can't get any NIL money or a good spot, I could see him being done, like you said, with his injury history. And he'd be a graduate too. So
yeah, I'm more curious about like who we're bringing in at that position, just because again, with Clark and Greg didn't give you a whole lot of points, but I think right now at this point we're pretty much, you know, and with Mahorchik to see what happens with him, we're going to be close to having to replace about 50% of our offense, if not more. So it's going to be interesting, and I know everyone's excited about potentially bringing in Styles. I'm not so sure. That's a guy with limited film, if you will, or limited sample size. And my kind of thought on the portal is when you're bringing guys in the portal, you want proven players, and I'm not so sure that Styles is that person. Now, could he come in and develop and blossom into something? Absolutely, but with losing as much as we've lost, I want to bring in some surefire bets. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, my quick thoughts on it, and this is kind of quick because I'm sure Michael will be able to kind of give us a lot more about it. But my thing with Dontrez is that he's a guy which I kind of see very similar to Jack Clark-ish, where I think that Dontrez can do a little bit of everything, where he can drive to the basket, but he can also shoot. But I think he also too offers more of a size to help on the defensive end that Jack Clark just didn't have, just build alone. So, but also too as well, I think that just from a story perspective, I mean, getting a guy from UNC would definitely be interesting to say the least. Yeah. So, but also too, literally, because this same Dennis Cox, the same podcast I was listening to of where they should go. Literally, the guy said Dontrez Styles, NC State next. Like he didn't even say like oh, it could be this, or like this is how it makes sense. Like you just said, this guy, NC State, on to the next guy. Simple as that. So yeah, Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm with you, Greg, on that. But also, you've got 4 open scholarships at this point. I mean, you've got Morcell and Burns, who haven't announced anything, but more than likely are coming back. So they're locked into the starting lineup. So that's only 3 of your 4 are going to be starters. So one of them is going to have to be a guy coming off the bench. And I don't see anything wrong with Styles filling that 4th one. Yeah. I do agree, though. You probably don't want to rely on him as a guy who's going to come in and start for you.
Yeah, because you still need another big because you lost Duwanu. So, there's a spot. You do have Parker coming in, and you do have the other Parker coming in to play guard. Now, again, I'm not so sure that
Miranda.
Right. And where's Miranda going to play? Is he a 5 or a 4? Now, I know he's got height of a 5, but he doesn't have the body composition of a 5. So what are you doing with that? And then you have Ernest Ross. Is he going to step up and maybe be that starter because he's already on your roster? But again, does he stay too? No one's saying that. There's a lot of moving pieces. Is where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Who are we for sure about for next year?
That's
Who's
just
for
it.
sure coming back?
Yeah,
Anybody?
I don't know. I think if you have one or two more transfer out, which I think is possible, like I'm just thinking like Breon Pass.
Yeah. LJ
Yeah.
can do. Not that I'm saying. Not that
LJ.
That's the saddest thing, though. That is the saddest thing that we literally can't even sit here and go, "There's this guy is for sure going to be with this team next year." We have no clue.
No,
That's
typically
sad.
the only ones you can really count on is a transfer that comes in and hasn't graduated yet, because then they're locked in for at least one more until they graduate. Then they can do their post grad transfer, and we don't have any of those players this year. So,
yeah,
I mean, we could not that I foresee it. You could have a complete roster turnover
team.
Slots,
yeah,
with the way this team was structured. And the other thing I'm going to say too is I liked last year how we brought in Jarkel with having that 1 year, but I don't want to do this every year. I don't want to keep bringing in grad transfers every year and filling up the bulk of my roster, and you have to turn over 3/4 of your roster every year. I think you're going to want some consistency where you can build around, and it makes a lot of work. It makes a lot of work. I don't know. That's just my thoughts.
In the names we've mentioned, Styles and Epps have multiple years. I think Damian Dunn, he would be a graduate transfer.
Correct.
But those two guys would be locked in for at least, I think, 2 for Styles and 3 for Epps. So
if you're going to do it at one spot, you'd rather have a grand transfer at the point guard spot, because it's a guy who has the experience. It's a guy who is a proven scorer. More likely, it's a guy that you can trust to run the offense. So Damian Dunn getting in here as a grad transfer at point guard, beautiful, no problem with that whatsoever. But I get what you're saying 100%. It's just
you want some roster consistency,
because really, if you're looking at next year. Like, first of all, you don't even know what the schedule is right now. I tried to look that up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, they don't even have a preview. Like,
it's not even it's not like football. It's not like football.
Yeah, no, you have no clue. So you have no clue of your roster. You have no clue about your schedule. You don't know anything. So there's even if we wanted to talk basketball right now,
you really can't.
Who the heck knows? And then Michelle, kind of wraps it all up, saying there are so many unknowns for this men's basketball team, and absolutely,
and 100%. Women's too, really.
And women's too. And it's funny. I saw Diamond when my wife and I were going to the cheerleading dance dress rehearsal yesterday. Diamond was getting some food at Tally, and I was like, well, it's good to know she's still here.
At least she's still on campus.
All right, she's on campus. That's good. All right, cool.
And honestly, we talked about this last week. She's the one that she fits into that same category where she hasn't graduated yet, so she's not going anywhere until at least she graduates. Because if she leaves, she has to sit out a year. So I'm not even concerned about her.
Especially too, because first of all, unless she's looking at going to UConn or South Carolina, like an even bigger name. It's like, are you really going to leave, NC State?
But she loses a year of eligibility at that point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you're taking a huge haircut for kind of an upgrade. Not to toot our own horns here, but I'm just saying this is your team. You have Wes Moore. You're playing in Reynolds Coliseum. It's a great situation. I'm just saying. So yeah. But anyway, though, so I want to bring up this one tweet, which is not even NC State related, but it's absolutely hilarious.
It was fun.
And this is the top 25 kind of expected layout every year, and
too early.
For kind of like how every single too early top 25 goes for men's basketball. And for those who are listening or haven't seen it, basically 1 through 4 is always Duke, UNC, Kansas, Kentucky. Why? Because there's the big names. They're always going to get the top 5, top 10 hype. And then I won't do all of these, but just to kind of touch on a couple of my favorites. Got to go number 5. First of all, team that added 13 transfers. Love that. Hilarious. I also love number 22, Oregon, for some reason. I love that. That's hilarious. And then number 16 ACC team picked to finish behind Duke and UNC, but will finish ahead of one of them.
That was Miami.
Yeah, that was Miami. Yeah, that was Miami this year. Yep. But again, it just goes to and I really kind of want to bring this up. Again, tonight UConn and FAU are playing.
No.
And literally
San Diego State.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. No, San Diego State and UConn.
It was almost FAU.
It was almost FAU. Well, the reason why I said FAU is because in my head I was thinking about the FAU press conference where the guy was saying, "We're going to get our whole team back next year, so we're going to be doing it again." And I'm sitting here going, like if I'm a voter, like, am I putting FAU in my top 5, in my top 10? Like, that's big. I mean, to say FAU is in my preseason top 10, which, I mean, if they went to the Final Four and they're bringing everybody back,
if
it wasn't FAU, if it was Duke or Kentucky, they'd be.
I will say this: they were a solid top 20.
UNC.
Yeah, they were a solid top 20 team for most of the year. So, I mean, it's not a big lead.
No, but again, it's just like. Again, it
goes
against everything listed here.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
So they're number 8. They're number 8 then.
Oh, Final Four team that didn't win the title. Okay, that's true. That's true.
There you go.
But again, just to me, I'm sitting here going, like, after watching this NCAA tournament, it just goes to absolutely show that any kind of preseason top 25, any kind of top 25 within the first month or two, it means absolutely squad douche. Like, you have no clue how these teams are going to play out. You have zero idea. Like, again, UNC,
paging
we'll
UNC,
still rave about it till the end
UNC.
of time, baby. Yes, we will rave about till the end of time. Like, you have no clue how these teams are gonna turn out. 100%. So, but hilarious stuff for sure. Definitely had to touch base on that. And then one non-sports but NC State related thing. Had to give a shout out today to our Christina Koch. Am I saying that last name correctly? Koch,
Coach,
Coke,
probably Coke.
I think Coke.
Yeah, Christina Koch, who was a NASA astronaut who actually visited the space station back in 2019, where she took part in the first ever all women's spacewalk. And she is going to be going to the moon, a part of the Artemis 2 moon crew. So again, it's going to be so awesome to see. I mean, there's only been a handful of people in the history of mankind who have ever walked on the moon. And so to have a NC State grad be added to that list is nothing short of awesome.
I don't think she's actually walking on the moon.
Yeah.
To be
orbit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So orbit the moon, be a part of the moon crew.
Yeah, she's gonna be the first woman to orbit the moon. So
yeah,
that's amazing.
Artemis 3, the one after them, should go down to the moon.
Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. That's what my grandfather always said. Okay,
that's fair. That's fair. I don't think anyone here in the chat's going to fact check us. We're a sports podcast, so
yeah, that's true. That's true. But
either
way, huge shout out.
I was going to just say I have a real quick astronaut story. I worked at a place called DARPA up here in Northern Virginia. Big into innovation, and we had a new department head come in, and I was getting her set up with all of her BlackBerry and all her IT stuff, and just talking to her, making small talk. And then about a week later, I'm watching a documentary on Netflix about the space shuttle. Come to find out, she piloted the space shuttle twice. I was like,
wow,
wait, what? I know an astronaut. So
there we go.
Yeah. Pamela Melroy, really nice lady. She's working for some big tech company now, but just thought that was pretty cool. Like working with an astronaut there for a few minutes. That was, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just I always think that's pretty cool. Yeah.
That's not too shabby. Not too shabby for sure. And then love Infinite Hate here's comments saying, love you guys, but just have to tell you the truth. NASA's a fraud and the moon landing is a total hoax. Well, the only thing which I'll say to that is, hey,
fired.
Shots fired. Hey, maybe we need to bring her on, bring Christina onto the show and ask her once and for all and say, hey, can you when you get back, can you tell us, is the moon real?
I just want to know, is Infinite Hate a flat earther too?
Yeah. No, I love Infinite Hate. She's been on a few times, and also a huge huge in-state lover for sure.
Oh yeah, she's all over the tennis in the track. So
yeah, for sure. And then one other slightly related women's basketball thing, which I wanted to bring up, was this news about Elizabeth Kitley coming back to Virginia Tech. Great. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up, I guess, is more of that. Again, we already know that we're losing every single big for women's basketball this season. So now it is even more important in my head. Like, okay, now we have to go and find a established big for our team next year, because Elizabeth Kitley will be a nightmare for us if we don't have that. Simple as that. She will be a nightmare like she was for most
eat
of the
our
season.
lunch.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So we definitely need to go and find somebody, and not just like not a committee. We need to go find somebody who is like killer. We need to go find somebody good.
Yep.
So and I'm sure Westmore's on top of it. But
speaking of
just,
Westmore,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Michael.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, Virginia Tech, they'll be a top 3-4 team next year.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah,
sure.
I was just gonna say, did anybody see Wes at the championship game yesterday?
No.
Yeah, he was sitting. He was sitting almost courtside. Yeah, just a few rows. Yep, near center court. So yeah,
he needs to get there. We need to get him there. He needs to get there. Like again, he needs to win a national championship. Simple as that. But I'm telling y'all, like again, I said from the beginning of the AC tournament, I said Virginia Tech is not getting was not getting enough love, and so I was not shocked whatsoever by them making it to the Final Four at all. I was not shocked. So
they had a. And I don't know if anyone noticed, but they had a bunch of Twitter drama going on over the weekend too, with a Wastu. Woo!
Yeah.
Well, I think that's been talked about enough on the national publicity that we'll just kind of leave it there.
Oh yeah. It's out there if anyone wants to go read it. But there was some claws going. Like it was good old cat fight.
I definitely was pissed off though.
Game.
I know Virginia Tech, they were killing them. They were killing LSU, and they blew it. But again, it's tough to be too mad at what they did. But I mean, again, I was thrilled for them. I mean, again, their whole team, their coach. I mean, again, just love all of them. So was super excited for them to get that far. But I'm sitting here going, man, we need to get that far now. Like we haven't been to a Final Four in over 20 years. Like we need to be back there. So
it was within their grasp, and they just kind of let it slip. So
let it slip.
But they're going to be tough though. I mean, especially with her coming back.
Oh yeah, 100%. All right, so now to talk a little bit about the spring game that we got coming up this Saturday. So I want to bring up this week here specifically because I know everybody right now is talking about what is the deal with MJ Morris, what is the deal with the quarterback situation, and to me, this really stood out. And for those who are listening, it's a tweet from MJ Morris saying, "Focused, .. unbreakable, #humble and hungry," and it's a picture of an ace of spades saying, "If you can't change the cards you're dealt, change how you play your hand." And this stood out to me because I'm sitting here going, this doesn't look like a guy who, if he doesn't become the starter, that he's just going to jump ship and be like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm just saying, like, I could be completely reading this completely wrong. He could just be saying one thing, but then actually, do something different. But also from everything that we've seen, everything we've talked about, whether it was his post game after the Wake Forest game last year or whatever, like
the Virginia Tech one too. Yeah,
Virginia Tech one too. It just doesn't seem a guy, and he's also a guy I think that 100% has a smart enough head on his shoulders to see that in the long term, it 150% will be 100% the right decision for him. Like in terms of the long term. But again, if he can take a year, learn from Brennan, learn a nice offense, get healthy, grow a little bit, build up some bulk a little bit, he's going to be killing it for the next 2 or 3 years, however long he decides to be the starting quarterback in state. He's going to be dominant. So, but I'm excited to see him this weekend. I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see new offense. And let me know before Greg and Michael, I'll bring you in. Let me know in the comments for all of our viewers here, what part of, or what is the thing that you're most interested in seeing at the spring game? Whether it's, are you interested in seeing a certain player? Are you interested in seeing a certain aspect, whether it's the offense, the defense, or even like what Carter Finley looks like without the scoreboard there? Let us know in the comments what you'd be most interested or looking forward to about the spring game this weekend. But Greg, Michael, give us your thoughts here.
Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see. I mean, obviously the quarterback situation. I think they'll probably split first team reps, Brennan and MJ. Well, yeah.
An offense not run by Tim Beck.
You're not wrong. Not wrong.
Yeah. And then, just going back to that, what you were saying with MJ. I mean, I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think he's got a better. He would be put in a better position at any other Power 5 school. So I'll be interested to see how that's split up. I think that they'll probably split first team reps, and then just kind of the new offense, seeing how it works, and that's the biggest thing for me.
Yep. Greg.
Yeah, for me, I just think MJ said and done all the right things. If nothing else, to your point, Leighton, that he's done it the right way in the public's eye, and that's really what's important because of the perception. And then the other part I'll say is I don't think he's going anywhere either, just because most places have already established their starters. If nothing else, they have two guys that they believe in, so he's not going to get really a chance to start anywhere else, at least this year. So it's better to maybe get some more stuff on tape. Again, going through last year, we played 4 quarterbacks. So, he's one snap away from getting in if he's not the starter. So as far as that goes, that's all I really have about that. But I think what I'm most looking forward to is just the NI offense to see, the position battles that we're not so sure on. That would be like the wide receivers. How is that going to play out? Some of the offense. Yeah, some of the offensive line. I'm excited to see Vereen at tight end. He's made some waves. So that's a position that we haven't really utilized since Angeline has left. We've had some production there. Trent's been injured, and then we had the So, and then the other thing, and again, I'm going to say it, and I'm not really joking. Interested about kicking. I keep saying that, and I know it's silly, but when you keep playing these games and it's one possession and you're winning, by 2, 3, 4 points, field goals and extra points matter. And we were spoiled. Dunn never missed an extra point in his whole time at NC State.
Yeah.
None.
Which it still is hilarious to me. I still remember 2 years ago, back in 2021, when we played Clemson at home. And I remember in the post-game press conference, some article person asked the question, Dorn, of after Dunn missed the field goal to win in regulation, did he question going for 2 potentially in overtime, instead of going for extra point? And Dorn was basically like, this guy hasn't missed an extra point a whole season or his whole career. Like, no, I didn't. Of course, I didn't question of going for the extra point. Of course. So, and of course, now I'm sitting here going, like, see, like the greatest NC State kicker of all time, one of the greatest kickers in NCAA history. Like, no, I think it was the right call. So, no, 100%.
But I don't know. What are your thoughts, Leighton? I mean, I know you kind of talked about the quarterback, but what are you interested in seeing?
I think for me, it's kind of funny. It's simple, but I still can't wrap my head around seeing Brandon Armstrong NC State uniform. I mean, that still is going to be mind-boggling to say the least.
What number is he wearing? 5? Like what? I don't even know what number. Have they even released numbers?
Right.
That was Thayer Thomas. It was Thayer Thomas. So I would assume
I feel like he was 5 at some point. I don't know why.
He was. It was definitely a 5, but I think it was 5 because it was 5 was involved, and it obviously wasn't like 15 or 25 or 35. So and then Thayer Thomas just left that number. So I would 99% assume that he got 5.
He's wearing 5.
He's wearing 5. Okay.
Yeah, game confirmed it too. So so I mean, for me, whether it's seeing Brennan, seeing the new offense, I think that's got to be everybody's. And also, I'll go ahead and kind of ruin for those who are listening. You also, if you haven't figured it out yet, kind of get a little bit of insight in terms of what's coming up this week. And we interviewed Tom Lavolsi, who's the owner of the Gopher mobile app, who started the Savage Wolves collective. And man, y'all, I can't say enough that I literally went into this interview like wondering, like, what is like Tom doing? Like, what is the deal with Savage Wolves? Like, are we starting like a competition against Pack of Wolves? And I can say 100% that I'm sure a lot of you guys also have that same question or wondering so what's going on there too, because there hasn't been a lot of talk publicly about it. And I will say this interview changed my mind completely and basically gave me a clear picture and love what Tom and Savage Wolves is doing. So make sure to check that out. First episode should be out tomorrow, and the second part will follow soon after, probably on Thursday. So make sure if you don't want to miss out on that conversation, check that out by, again, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out. But one of the things which he did say was that he's had an opportunity to watch practice, and he said completely publicly that this comes from a completely biased approach, but that Peyton Wilson made a comment saying that he feels like this defense could be better than last year's. And Tom said that from everything he's seen, that is not far-fetched to say the least. That the defensive line should be a huge step up this year. Linebackers between Devon Betty and Peyton and those guys. I mean, they look prime. Yeah, Jalen Scott, they look prime ready. You got Aiden White and Cheyenne Battle on both sides, but Brandon Sissy's looked great. And then from the safety side, we should be in great shape as well. So excited. And then also too, Tom also talked about Javonte Vereen saying he's looked really impressive. So excited to see him. And then he also said the offense will light it up this year. So I'm excited to see it. I'm ready for it. So it'll be a fun one.
Yeah, it was funny. We were, in line yesterday for Meet the Pack Day for baseball, which, by the way, that was a great event. We didn't really talk about that, but shout out to everybody that put that on. 100%. And some fans were kind of talking about football, and he was a younger guy, and he was like, "I don't know about those linebackers. You've lost, all this other stuff." And I looked at him. I said, "You do know that Devon Betty and Jalen Scott have basically almost played a year of football each, with all the injuries that we had at those positions. So it's not like we're throwing in two, sophomores, freshmen. Like, these are seasoned guys that have been waiting and chomping at the bit to get in there and have been very valuable pieces. So, to your point, Leighton, I don't see a drop off. Now, again, knock on wood that we don't have injuries. That's the one thing you want to make sure that you don't have in the spring game is anything catastrophic. And then in the season, that's the one thing that I think worries me the most is some of the depth, because not that there's not talent, it's just not proven yet. They just haven't had the opportunity to get in there. So
a lot of youth.
Yeah, that's what worries me. A 2019 season all over again if we get a rash of injuries.
Yeah, I think Betty will be just as good as Isaiah Moore was at middle linebacker. Like, I don't have any concerns there.
No,
Jalen Scott and Devon Betty would be a starter at 75% of Power 5 schools if they chose to, at least if they chose to go that route, but they decided to stay. And so it says, it to me, it just says more and more about Dorn and this culture and this program that he's built. And we'll talk a little bit about that here with this next tweet of the week. But I do want to highlight Nick's comment as well, saying I want to see how the running game and the offensive line look. And
that's really for me. For me, it's the offensive line. It's it's funny too, because for me, it's the same questions that I had last year: wide receiver and offensive line play. I don't know. I mean, we've addressed it. We brought some transfers in on both sides of the lines, and then we brought the kid in from Clemson. I think he's got a lot of potential. I can't remember his name at the top of my head, but he was a four-star kid.
Yeah, Dakari Collins.
Yes, thank you. So there's talent. Now we just got to go out and figure it out and make it work.
Yep. Well, again, it's all about too. I think that, again, coaching makes your good players look like great players. Great coaching makes your good players look like great players. And Anai has proven that he can do that. Because I know the biggest question from a lot of people is, do we get 2021 Brandon Armstrong or do we get 2022? Right. And I'm sitting here saying, listen, I can easily prove to you what happened. One end in the great year where he was a borderline Heisman candidate contender, he had Coach Anai. The other one, he had a first-time ever solo offensive coordinator in Des Kitchings, who was his only ever offensive coordinator position was as a co-offensive coordinator in 2019. We were just trying to keep him on roster.
It was an experiment gone wrong.
Yeah. So basically, I'm saying, as a State fan, you just saw it back in 2019. You saw that, and then when he went to Virginia offense wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. It wasn't what it was, and so put two and two together. It's
really last year, he made Garrett Schrader look great for the first
dude.
He took great before he got injured.
He took Garrett Schrader from being a running back playing quarterback to being a quarterback that can be a running back. I mean, no, it's so simple.
The other thing that I'm interested in, and we kind of touched about it with Coach and I, is just some of the coaches, and not necessarily all new coaches. Now, obviously, we have Coach 2J at offensive line, but now Coach Roper going to coach quarterbacks. And then so it's just kind of seeing how all that gels and meshes, and just kind of our first, flavor of all of that. That I think honestly, That's the one thing too. I don't think we've given Coach Doran enough credit. We've given him credit, but the way he just keeps reloading his coaching staff when necessary, and that he's gotten, arguably the best defensive coordinator in all of the ACC. I think he's probably easily top 5, top 10 in all of the country that he doesn't get enough, credit for. And then just the position coaches and everything that these kids say about their position coaches, they absolutely love them. So I'm excited to see how that meshes for the first time on field.
Yeah, and just to kind of prove too, I want to show off this next tweet of the week here from a pretty decent name within the coaching world, and Bobby Wilder, who's a longtime Old Dominion head coach, has a whole lot of coaching experience. Saying, when talking about the donation that Coach Doran and his wife gave to 321 Coffee, saying this is a great job by Coach Doran. A lot of Power 5 head coaches would not do this. They would not invite other head coaches in their state. This this actually isn't. This is about the coaching
clinic.
The coaching clinic. Sorry. They would not invite other head coaches within their state. This man has no ego. That's why NCSU is good in football every year, leading from the front. And just kind of give a little bit insight. So this past weekend, they had a coaching clinic where basically usually it's mainly for high school head coaches or middle school head coaches in the area. And this weekend they had Mike Houston from ECU. They had the coach from App State. So again, a lot of head coaches wouldn't invite one of their bigger rival head coaches to come and, have a potential to recruit almost, I mean, there's that potential is there to recruit within their own house. Again, just goes, I think, to show the confidence Doran has, but also to the fact that he doesn't have an ego. He's not, I'm, mightier than thou. It's listen, I'm here to help, and I'm more than happy to open up my doors. And, because again, Mike Houston's a great guy. Again, I have no issues with Mike Houston, the head coach at ECU, as a person, besides just the fact that he's coaching ECU. That's the only issue I have with him. So,
yeah. One thing I will say, I doubt we'll ever see him do this with Mac Brown, but
oh yeah, well, of course, sure, yeah. Well, I go ahead.
No, I would just say, I agree. I mean, rivals are one thing, but I could see him allowing probably Clausen or something like that, or who's the coach at Duke now? I just lost his name. Elko. Yeah, thank you. I just like that. Like Coach Wilder says, he's doing it the right way and he's leading from the front, and so that's who you want as your head man representing your university, both on and off the field.
100%. And the other thing which I want to point out here too is, I put out a tweet from it was a clip from when NC State played UNC last year at halftime, and Doran coming in, getting the guys hype and, being like, they're going to come at us and they're going to try, but, this is our game. Basically, again, I just love the confidence that this guy showed, even though we were on our 6th string nickelback, even though we were with our 3rd string quarterback, even though we had injuries all over the field, even though we were playing against a Heisman contending quarterback in Kenan Stadium, the fact that the amount of confidence this guy had, it just was amazing. And I literally said these guys were ready to, run through 5 walls for this guy, and they did that night. And there were some comments saying still that inspiration doesn't lead to championships. And I just wanted, again, every single time I see this come up, I'm literally going to talk about this just a little bit until this just gets wiped out. Because I'm sitting here saying the only thing bad that you can say about Coach Doran is the fact that he has not won an AC championship. But I'm here to tell you that Lou Holtz, who I mean is a coaching legend, and even NC State Hall of Famer, again, he only won one ACC championship. Now, he was only here for a couple of years, but then he's only won one ACC championship back in 1973. And we only have 2 coaches in the history of NC State that have won 2 conference championships or more, and that was Eddie Green back in 1910, and then Earl Edwards, who won 5 from 1957 to 1968. So again, if he wins 1, he is without a doubt, I think you can't even argue, the greatest coach in state football history. I think right now you can make an argument for it. But I think that if he wins 1, it's a no doubter. Like it's case closed, put it to bed. It's done. He's the greatest in-state football coach of all time. So, but because again, everything else you could say in terms of, I mean, he's had 9 wins, 3 of the last 5 years. He's taken guys who were 2 or 3 star recruits and made them first round picks. He does great against rivals. I mean, obviously he's controlled the series against UNC. Now he's at least 2-1 against ECU. He wins at home. He's only lost 1 game at home over the last 2 seasons. He's brought an excitement to this football program that we have not seen in the history of our program. I mean, just the amount of money and excitement from fans around this program. Again, it just, I can't say enough good things about him. It just doesn't make sense. Like, okay, if we're going to fire Coach Doran, who are you going to go after? Like, seriously. Like, I mean, like, who would you really rather have, even money aside, more than Doran right now? Like, I mean, like, there's a handful of guys I'd rather have if money wasn't an option, but not within the realm of possibilities for us. Like, yeah. Like, so again, that's just my thought. Okay, if you're going to fire Doran, who are you going to go after?
Yeah.
Like, so Greg, Michael, go ahead.
Yeah,
that was my rant.
No, you're fine. The one thing I will say, and this is nothing to take away from any NC State championship team from the 70s, but just remember too, context matters. There was only 7 ACC teams. We've doubled that now. So to win the championship was a little easier. Now you still had to go out and win ball games and do your thing, but it's a vastly different ACC team. And then the game itself has changed. Everything about it's changed, right? And it's kind of like comparing, greatest basketball players of, all time, but the generations are different. Running backs, it's just different, right? So the game, the facility, think about it this way. Everyone was kind of on a even playing foot back then, as far as like, you didn't have these mega billion-dollar donors coming in, and NIL wasn't a thing. And so the game is just different. So I just wanted to just kind of give context to, I'm not making excuses for either side of the argument, but I just wanted to present those facts.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. Michael, anything to add to that?
No, I mean, I'm on board with Doran being here as long as he wants.
Yeah. No, I think, unless things absolutely hit the fan, which you don't see happening at all, then however long he wants to be here until he wants to retire and go, own a fishing shop and, whatever it may be. Hey, I'm all for it. And again, and also too, you already mentioned it too, Greg, but the how great of a job he does with the assistant coaches as well in terms of keeping guys around, but also to bring in even better guys. Like he's always said that when an assistant coach leaves, he's going to go find somebody even better than that guy that just left. Mm-hmm. And I would say besides McDonald, which is still to be determined, and besides Kitchings, Kitchings to me is one of the greatest, greatest running back coaches in the country. I mean, he's up there. It's tough to replace somebody better than him. But I mean, again, now getting Tony Gibson in a long-term contract, going after a Nye, who I think that, when all is said and done, between him over Matt Canada, Tim Beck, and Eli Drinkwitz, I think he hopefully can make an argument for being the greatest offensive coordinator that Doran's had. So, but to be determined. We'll see.
The other knock that I will say that people have on Coach Doran is the overall ACC record. Now that has been getting better, right? Because
that's overall, exactly.
Yeah, right. The first years were pretty rough, so he kind of got himself into a hole because he had to rebuild everything from scratch essentially. But to the point, but to the point over the last 5-6 years, that ACC record is above 500. So the problem is people look at the whole body instead of trends and analysis. And so the trends are definitely pointed up in the up direction, it's not down. It's not level. I mean, he's still going in an up trajectory. And so every year, this team is on the verge of breaking an NC State football record for wins, whether it's, overall wins, conference wins, which we just did a couple of years ago. It's consecutive home wins. Like he's still breaking NC State football records as a coach. So that to me, that's the guy you want leading your team. And the last thing I'll say too is he's developing great football players that he's producing into the NFL. He's producing even better human beings as all the charity work that these teams do. So again, that's who you want as your leader. Like I'm sorry, I get it. I get it. People want wins. They want championships. I get it. I'd want the same thing. But at the end of the day, this is bigger than football. I mean, it's bigger than football.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm done with my rant now.
No,
Michael,
please,
do you have a rant too?
I'm sitting over here like, yes, Greg,
I
yes.
didn't know we were doing rants today.
I know. Yeah, no, and Michelle even brings up another thing too about the community involvement, how much Doran is involved in the community, and how much too he's really changed. I know when like his first year or two, one of the gripes was like, he's just not very approachable, but
that's changed.
Now he's hilarious. He's a funny, and he's always been a funny dude, but it just took him, to really, because again, he was only a head coach. That was his third year ever being a head coach, so it just took him some time to figure out what being a head coach is all about and what goes into the role.
Last thing I want to say, homeboy was chugging Coors Light like on national TV.
Yeah,
like if you don't want that as your coach, like you don't want that as your coach.
Again, I can't. There is you
we
cannot
could go on. Yeah.
You couldn't hold a gun to my head and convince me that Doran should not be the head coach in NC State, man. This guy is country through and through. He is hilarious.
He gets it.
He has no filter. He will say it, no clue at all. NCAA, like, come on, y'all. No, Doran is the perfect
Drinks from red Solo cups.
He gets it. Yes. While smoking a cigar, like, bro,
that's my coach.
Perfect. He plays, he plays guitar, like, cowboy boots and jeans. No, love this dude. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So now to kind of wrap it up. So I do want to give a huge shout out here to our cheer and dance squads who this weekend will competing for a national championship or college nationals in Daytona Beach, Florida. It goes from April 6th to the 9th. So this Thursday through Sunday. My wife and I had the pleasure of going to the cheer and dance dress rehearsal last night, which again we couldn't post any pictures or videos, just that way the competition obviously couldn't see it. But I'll tell y'all, and I actually do. I the guy who runs the state cheerleading account, I reached out and was like, hey, can you give me a little bit of insight? So I do want to kind of read this to you guys real quick because it's very impressive. So, and you might not, and this might be actually a good trivia for down the line. So FYI. So competition cheerleading started back in 1982. We were actually one of the 5 teams to compete in the inaugural event. We're the only program to compete in every single national since conception. We're known as the quote-unquote innovators of collegiate cheerleading. A lot of the skills you see today were created in Carmichael Gymnastics Room, literally. One of the most famous inventions is called the Wolf Wall and has been mentioned on Bring It On, the movie, and on Glee, the
it's
TV
already
show.
brought.
Yeah, it's already been brought. Yeah, I love it. And then just to recap, so national titles wise, so we've won 7 national titles: 1986, 1990, 1991, 2001, 2016, and then we won the small co-ed and game day national championships in 2018. And then also 2 mascot national titles: Mr. Wolf won in 2006, Miss Wolf won in 2007. And then we also won 2 partner stunt national titles in 2016, 2020. So what I'm saying all that for is, like, us at Tuffy Talk, we are preaching, support all sports, all teams, all student athletes. And I'm saying this 100% that cheerleading and dancing need to be right up there in terms of support.
Yeah.
And first of all, I do got to give a huge shout out because the turnout yesterday was phenomenal.
I was going to ask you. I saw like pictures beforehand. There was a good amount of people in there.
There was a lot of people there. Yeah. I was blown away for sure. Because again, my wife and I haven't been to one of those before, but seeing how many people, I was like, wow, there's a lot of people here. And rightfully so. It was absolutely impressive. Like both my wife and I had goosebumps watching them. They were phenomenal.
I know there's kind of been a push of late to make cheerleading a sport. I don't know. I mean,
at NC State or
no, just in general for college.
Level.
Yeah, for like the whole college like atmosphere. Just it's been a big thing. I will say that I remember watching as a kid, like on ESPN, and I think it's still probably on ESPN, and it was always done at Disney. That we were, I think those 90s championships that you were referencing, I remember watching those on TV, and we were always going against Kentucky. Like Kentucky's cheerleading program. Every year it was like us in Kentucky that were in neck and neck for the championships. And then the last thing I saw, what year was that game day? Was that 2018 you said?
2018. Yep.
Yeah. So my friend, Allie, I'll give her a shout out. She was Mrs. Wolf for that. She got her national championship cheerleading ring. She was Miss Wolf for the game day championship performance. So that was just pretty cool. Yeah. So yeah, it's something we take serious at NC State, and rightfully so. I mean, heck, you got a move named after you. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, no, 100%. So again, I just can't say enough. Again, support these men and women. Again, I think they're starting Thursday and they go through Sunday. So make sure to support them. They usually have TV coverage of these things for sure. And either way, make sure to go give NC State Cheerleading on Twitter a follow. And I know they'll post all the updates, the videos, you name it as well. So make sure to go and support these men and women and hopefully cheer on for a national championship.
Let's go.
Because we haven't had one in 4 years. And we need to get another one. So, and huge shout out to Coach Harold Trammell as well, because all that has been most all that has been done under Harold Trammell, who is now celebrating his 20th season coaching NC State cheerleading. So, huge shout out to Coach Trammell for sure. But anyway, y'all. So with that being said, I guess we'll kind of wrap it up here. The spring game. What time is the spring game? I tried to find it because I totally forgot to look at it.
Probably one. It's probably one.
They
they did post it. They did post it. Yeah. I think it is one because I think the gates open at this parking lot's open at 10, and I think the stadium opens at like 11 because I think they're doing like that whole Raleighwood thing again where they have food and drink and all that stuff. So
yeah, the end game just said 1 o'clock. Yeah. So parking lots open at 10 a.m. Gates open at 12. The Fan Fest on the concourse is going from 12 to 2. Kickoffs at 1 p.m. And then it also will be live streamed on Watch ESPN. The betting line is set as a pick'em game, and
okay, good to know.
Yeah, good to know.
Wow, that's not good. I would hope it's first team like minus 30, but
well, because also Dorn's kind of changed it up, where some years he's done it first team is only on one team, and he's done, but then sometimes he's kind of done like first team offense and second team defense on one team, and then second team offense and first team defense on one team. So, but again, it don't matter. We'll just look forward to it.
We need to create like a spring game bingo card or something, maybe just to see, for interviews and whatever. That might be kind of fun to put together.
I like it. That's a good idea. So yeah, hey, for those who are listening or tuning in right now, let us know maybe what are some what some of those bingo squares should be. DM us or whatever it may be. Let us know. We'll be interested to maybe put something together. 100%. Yeah. So y'all make sure again Saturday 1 p.m. Make sure to go and support and check it out. It should be a lot of fun. Excited to see some football once again. Carr Finley Stadium. Get ready for September, and then also again. We'll see y'all next week. Hopefully, you have some news. I know Dontrez Styles is going to be making his decision on Sunday. So we'll know by the next week's live stream where he's going to go, which I would be absolutely shocked if he didn't go to State and went to Georgetown. But you never know. We'll see. So, we'll see what happens. But as always, y'all, again, we have the interviews with Tom Lavolsi of Savage Wolves coming out this week. So make sure, again, to not miss out on that. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. If you enjoyed this conversation, hit that like button. And also check out if you missed or even want to recap the Meet the Pack Day yesterday, check out our highlights video that we just came out with today as well. And give us a follow, Tuffy Talk now on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We will see y'all soon. As always, go Pack, y'all. And make sure to join the Discord.